WebPageTest is a synthetic testing tool used to measure the performance of a website and capture a ton of lab data. Originally developed in 2008 by Patrick Meenan at AOL, it has since evolved into an active open source project with 150 contributors and over 2,500 GitHub stars. It can be run on any environment of your choosing, but is most widely used via its free public instance at webpagetest.org, which as of September 2015 runs around 45,000 tests per day to a total of 53 million since it first launched. It doesn't look like much at first glance, but it's a powerful, extensive tool which can be very useful once you learn the basics. The first thing I would recommend is that you register an account. This allows you to record a test history, run tests in bulk, and even compare results. Now, with that out of the way, let's configure a test. Ultimately, if you just want to run a simple test to quickly gauge the performance of a website, click the Simple Testing tab. Here, enter your URL. Configure the device in network speed. Decide if you want to include a repeat view, which records how the website performs on subsequent visits. And then finally, choose if you'd also like to run a Google Lighthouse audit. And away we go. Once the test is complete, you'll be presented with the results page. We'll cover the results page in more detail in the next video. So for now, let's rewind and go back and see what additional options are available to us when configuring a test. So, here we have the test location field. As we've learned, the further away the user from the website's host server, the longer the website will take to load. So for example, as I'm a UK-based individual targeting UK customers only, there's no use testing my website's performance in Australia. Next, we choose a browser. As test locations are generously provided by businesses and companies separate from WebPageTest itself, the browser list isn't standardized. In this instance, I'll choose Chrome, as it's the browser I use most often. Now we come to the advanced settings. Lots of tabs, as you can see. Some options are hopefully self-explanatory, like connection for instance, which lets you throttle the network speeds. For number of tests to run, you would think that you'd only need one. But website loading times are not fixed numbers, and can vary in both large and small ways according to all sorts of factors. So I would recommend running 5 tests. This way, by running multiple tests under the same conditions, we'll be able to establish what is consistently good and what is consistently bad. Repeat view we've already covered. Label makes it easier to identify tests when viewing them later on the test history screen. Next, under the Advanced tab, we have many specialised options. Most, if not all of these, you may never use if you're just running fairly standard performance audits. But for more complex testing, it's good to know that you can do things like ignore SSL certificate errors, which would be useful if you're testing locally or on an in-development website. Disabling JavaScript, which could use to test the impact JavaScript bundle sizes have on a website through a before and after comparison. Save response bodies. This will essentially allow you to view the source of each requested text file. Custom user agent strings, which amongst many use cases could be used for advanced tracking. And inject script, which could, for example, be used to trigger a hidden modal or complete a form with specific data before submitting it and then performance testing the speed of the subsequent journey. Under the Chromium tab, we have more advanced options which are specific to Chromium-based browsers like Chrome and Edge. A few commonly used options here are Capture Lighthouse Report. You will want to toggle this for most reports, as then WebPageTest will run Google Lighthouse under whatever test conditions you specify. Highly useful. Emulate mobile browser. This opens up Chrome's DevTools and sets the browser viewport to the size of the specified device using its Device Toolbar option. As for the rest, they are mainly used for more advanced debugging of things like JavaScript performance and network activity. You aren't likely to need these for every test, but it's good to know that they're there. The Auth tab will typically be used to test the performance of specific journeys, which may involve accessing content behind a login screen, for example. Whilst the Script tab allows you to programmatically declare how WebPageTest should interact with a web page. For example, if you wanted to test an entire sales journey consisting of multiple pages. Its documentation is good, so if you're looking for a rabbit hole to jump down, here's one contender. Under the Block tab, you can tell WebPageTest to block requests which meet this criteria. You could use this functionality to test the performance impact of third-party scripts, such as ads, for example. Under the SPOF tab, you can configure WebPageTest to force a specific request to time out, which could be used to simulate an outage, for example. SPOF is short for Single Point of Failure, and is something which will be covered more in depth in a later video. The Custom tab allows you to execute arbitrary JavaScript at the end of a test to, for example, collect custom metrics specific to your own goals. Like with WebPageTest scripting, custom metrics are an advanced topic which this single video wouldn't be able to do justice. You can classify this one firmly as not in scope. The last tab, Bulk, is only available if you're logged in and have appended this query to the URL. It's kinda like a secret tab, which lets you run multiple tests under the same conditions, one after another. Now then, finally, let's configure an advanced test. I'll use this website as a test dummy. This is something I built many years ago, long before I knew anything about web performance, which still happens to be online. It's a UK-based website, so I'll test on Chrome from this location in Nottingham, home of Robin Hood, and about 30 minutes down the road from where I live. I'll run this test under a throttled 3G level connection, which as we've learned is still a common connection speed in some areas. Number of tests to run 5 to account for any performance hiccups. Repeat view yes, capture video yes, and label will set this to standard performance test. We'll skip the advanced tab and go straight to Chromium. Here, we'll tell WebPageTest to run a Lighthouse audit and also to trigger a mobile view via Chrome DevTools. Finally, I'll start the test. In the next video, we'll cover the report this WebPageTest audit will generate.